NFL we go. Quarterbacks in the NFL are not exactly easy to find these days, which is why so many people think the Patriots' backup Jimmy Garoppolo could be very tempting trade bait for teams in need of a quarterback this offseason. Garoppolo led New England to a 2-0 record while Tom Brady was serving a suspension before suffering a shoulder injury. Our NFL analyst Tom Waddle of the Waddle and Sylvie Show on ESPN 1000 in Chicago.
Great to see you all.
Good to have you on, man.
Thanks for
How you doing, buddy?
Good, brother. Doing well.
Rumor is that you said that he is worth a first-round pick, Jimmy Garoppolo. Please tell us why.
You know what Jimmy's worth? Jimmy's worth whatever some NFL team's willing to pay him. I'll use a real estate analogy. If you put your house on the market, what's it worth? It's worth what someone's willing to pay you for that house. The appraisal of that house may be one thing. Somebody may be able to or willing to pay you more, maybe pay you less. I think if you look at Jimmy, the appraised value of Jimmy Garoppolo in a trade is probably a 2 and change. But I would be shocked if an NFL team didn't approach the New England Patriots and offer a first-round pick. And I'll use the Chicago Bears as an example. I believe the Bears, after 8 years, will part company with Jay Cutler. And I know Stephen will yell about this in a second, and for good reason. I think the Bears have decided it's the right decision for them. I think Jay Cutler could benefit from a change of scenery as well. I believe they will pursue Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think they hope that they could probably get him for a second and change. But if your personnel guys do their due diligence and the intel tells you that Jimmy is your answer at the quarterback position for the next 7 to 10 years, then I suggest that there's no price that is too steep to pay for that guy. Now, the one issue here is you don't get the benefit of the rookie contract. So there's money involved. But again, the NFL, you're a team, you're flush with cash, and you've had a quarterback problem forever. If you think Jimmy is the guy for the next 7 to 10 years, I wouldn't want to pay the third pick, but if I have to.
Well, first of all, let me get mellow and not yell and say this in a very monotone voice. My issue with what you're saying is when you use the words like, you know, anything and whatever it takes. Sort of, I'm paraphrasing there, whatever it takes. Like whether it's a first round, whatever it requires, you go ahead and you do it. What has Jimmy Garoppolo done to prove, in your estimation, that he's worth more than a Deshaun Watson? 2 NFL games?
Well, I would start with the fact that he was a second-round pick in 2014, so there was some feeling out there that he was a quality quarterback. I would also suggest that there should be some value attached to the fact that he's been in a meeting room. Whatever he didn't know at Eastern Illinois, which was a smaller program, I think he learned the last 3 years in the meeting room with Tom Brady and Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick. It is a small sample size. I get it. It's just 2 games, like what I saw in that small sample size. I'm not here to tell you that if I was the general manager of the Bears or the Browns or the 49ers, that is exactly what I would do. But if I had the conviction and my football intel told me he was my answer, I wouldn't have any problem pulling the trigger on that deal.
Got a couple things I want to dissect in your argument, although we agree that if I ran a team, I thought he was the guy, first-round pick. I'll explain that in a second. First, the real estate analogy, highest bidder. I think when we say, is he worth a first-round pick, you know, when you talk about the highest bidder, this is the problem with free agency. A free agent goes to the team that bid the most, not always worth the money.
Right.
If you took the average bid, it would probably be more in line with the actual intrinsic value of the player rather than the team that, by definition, overpaid for the guy, right? They at least paid more than anyone else. That's the first thing about Garoppolo. But I do think he's worth a first-rounder, Stephen A., and here's why. He was drafted in the second round by Bill Belichick.
Right.
Since then, he has improved his stock. So it's at least high second round. And the only argument against it is, hey, if he's so good, why is Belichick trading him, right?
Why should we trust any quarterback that's played for Bill Belichick? What have they done once they've departed?
Well, I think you have to deal with all of these as individual cases. I mean, Matt Castle hadn't started a game since high school. Matt Castle was a later round pick. Ryan Mallett had issues coming out of Arkansas. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a better player to start with. So that would be my first argument. Yeah, absolutely. If Bill Belichick is not willing to keep you, it raises some questions. But if I'm sold, I'm sold. I'm not going to be scared out of my convictions that he could be my answer.
The flip side of that with Belichick is if he's not willing to trade you for a second rounder, if he'll only accept the first rounder, doesn't that indicate that the guy is worth a first round pick?
I don't know about that. It's poker. It's poker because we're talking about Bill Belichick here. Bill Belichick has been known to hoodwink people in the past. He sits there and gets rid of guys. Listen, Bill Belichick is an individual that has proven his greatness as far as I'm concerned. There's nothing to debate there. But we can't sit here and just talk about the greatness of Bill Belichick and then ignore it when it comes to a particular talent that he has, not taking into account the impact that he may have had on that talent that another coach may not be conditioned to, another system may not be conditioned to, another team may not be conditioned to. We have to pay attention to those things. We can't ignore it. Tom Brady is special. He's special on another level. He has proven that. But when a guy like Jacoby Brissett can come up in there and win a football game, okay, as a third-round pick, if I remember correctly, we have to look at that and say, that's Bill Belichick. That's what we did. We talked about Bill Belichick. We talked about it being the system. But then when Jimmy Garoppolo, we want to step aside, and we got people here, Tom, calling him Jimmy G, as if he's earned
I'll call him Garoppolo. Look, if Tom Brady can do what I think he can do and what Bill Belichick thinks he can do, and I think he lasts longer in New England and plays at a higher level maybe than Max. I think he's got 3 years. If you don't trade Jimmy now, you lose his value. You may lose him via free agency unless you decide to franchise him after 2017. Bill Belichick's a great businessman. If he truly believes that Tom Brady is going to play at this level for an extended period of time,
you keep saying Watson. He's a shiny name that makes you think, oh, Garoppolo. Trubisky might go like 3rd overall. Do we know more about him or Jimmy G?
I'm going to be dealing with Mel Kiper about that in a little while because I don't understand that either. But I want to transition. May I?
Yeah, please.
May I?
Please.
You know.
This is your baby.
But first of all, you know, the voice of Chicago here. Deeply appreciate the great work that you put forth. So, listen, here's the deal, man. Jay Cutler. You know,